Hello, you guys. You have been asking me a lot in my DMs to start teaching you about archetypes and about tarot cards. I do have the course, but here in this YouTube series, I would like to introduce you to the concept of the 22 archetypes, which are derived from 22 major tarot arcanas. A lot of people find themselves in a situation when they would like to obtain any extra additional creative way of thinking and puzzle solving, because our life consists of a lot of puzzles that needs to be resolved on the daily. And tarot is an ancient instrument that happened to have the capacity of easing out our daily life tasks and sometimes even dive very deep into psychological issues that all of us carry in one or another segment or aspect of life, which I'm very happy to share with you in this short series of videos. I would like to introduce you to 22 archetypes, and we are going to start with the 22nd one, or the 01. It's also, both numbers will be correct. It's called Fool. Fool doesn't mean that the person is silly or stupid. Fool means that the person is like a child. That's why I took us to the children playground to tap into that type of energy, right? To understand more how is it to be a child again, even if you're an adult. That's what the representation of the archetype Fool. The whole concept of learning starts with the fool's journey. That's how we call it. In a lot of tarot schools, people call it a fool's journey. When we're children, we're no longer, we're not yet autonomous in thinking and operating. Usually our parents decide for us what's better, yeah? What's the better choice to eat? What's the better foods we should be taking or drinks? Where is the better place to go as far as spending our leisure times. Basically, there is a cord between parents and children. But when it comes to full archetype, it doesn't mean that people who carry that archetype or who are predominantly are full archetype, it doesn't mean that they're childish or infantile. It means that they're very, very easygoing. And this is one of the features that adults are missing. Be easygoing. Don't take everything with that resistance that adult mind creates usually, right? Because adults have a lot of experience in their life, which proves them right or proves them wrong, and shows that this might be not a good idea. You might not succeed in that endeavor because of XYZ, because of XYZ excuse, or because that person have not succeeded. Why are you going to start that type of business, for example, right? Child doesn't have that resistance of mind due to lack of life experience, which is amazing quality to have, because that quality allows you to start any project with very positive mindset. In order to understand the archetype Fool better, we have to pay attention to the glyphs on the card itself. No matter what kind of tarot deck you have, you might have the classic one, or designer ones, as I like to call them, the designer decks, but everybody has to learn from the basics. Once you know the classic one, you will be able to read any designer decks, which has nothing to do with initial sense that the authors placed in the cards. Although tarot does originate from all the way from ancient Egypt, from very, very far away times, the classic tarot Rider-Waite deck that is like an ABC for tarot schools, it was made in the medieval ages. That's when the society was separated into several categories, or there's a certain caste system or hierarchy, where there was a king, there were knights or warriors, yeah, there were simple folks, they go by pages, right? And so on and so forth. So I'm going to show you the basic and the designer version, and we are going to dive deep into discussing the meanings of the glyphs, which will allow you to understand precisely what each and one of the archetype is all about. Okay, so I just pulled two versions: the classic one, Rider-Waite, which is Fool, the 0 archetype, or the 22nd, both will be correct, and the designer deck, which it's like a beautiful, I really like this type of cards because they have really beautiful colors and design and stuff, but the designer has nothing to do with the original one. We're going to learn from the original one. I just wanted to show the difference. So when we come to understand the object or the glyphs of the card, we have to pay attention to everything. Let's start from the color. Yellow color represents two things: the time of the day, which is the sunlight, the daytime, which is also a masculine principle. There is feminine principle, which is the receptive one, which more correlates with the nighttime, with the darker side of the spectrum. Yeah, yin and yang, it's always about white and black, or dark and white, or plus and minus, whatever you call it. But this is a masculine energy, right? It also connected with our yellow chakra, Manipura chakra, which also represents the power of will, the ability to push your ideas, opinions, actions, whatever it is, to push it forward. We need to know that a full archetype is a young guy, a young man who carelessly walking from the cliff. It seems like he doesn't really understand that he can fall in any moment, but he doesn't really care because he's all about getting that experience. Full archetype people are the best at learning, because you cannot really learn anything if you already your brain is already cluttered with all types of knowledge. You're not going to be able to receive it and perceive it. You're not going to be able to have the space. It's like, when your phone is out of space, you cannot take photos, videos anymore. You have to clear that out. Full archetype, it's all about clearing out that space in your head and creating a new space to learn. Full archetype oftentimes is connected to the childlike energy that we described before, but this guy is wearing a lot of clothes, right? And the clothing looks kind of ripped. Clothing represents the sublime bodies. Besides the physical body, we all have a line and a number of sublime bodies that surround us, that are invisible to human eye. But those sublime bodies are oftentimes getting the signals before something is going to happen to the physical body. The sublime bodies already get that energy. Just not everybody is capable to recognize it. Fool, since he's a fool, he's inexperienced fool, right? His clothes are ripped, which means his sublime body is having damages due to his lack of vigilance and lack of caution and care. The dog, the animal here as a dog, as a friend, represents somebody who is on your side, somebody who's friendly to you, but yet somebody who's trying to prevent you from making that leap of faith or making that step, because you might just fall into abyss. You might just not make it out alive. So on one hand, it's a friend. On the other hand, the friend or family who stops you from making these decisions to move forward with your life, even though it's unknown. Maybe you want to immigrate and everybody's around stopping you and telling you, how are you going to live in that place? You don't know the language, you have no money, you don't know anybody. On one hand, their intentions are good because they're trying to talk reason to you and protect you. On the other hand, they are depriving you of the experience itself. Your friends, your family, the ones who are, that's a representation of the dog. Classically, dog is a friend, right? However, our fool packed up his essentials in this little sack right here, and he is holding the stick, the stuff, so-called stuff. He's not relying on the stuff because his experience is not as profound and valuable and rich as, let's say, the hermit. The 9 arcana or 9 archetype hermit that we're going to be studying in further lessons will be a completely different concept, where the older man, wise man, relies on his stick, right? But here he doesn't rely, he just holds it carelessly, and that little bit of sack of clothing or whatever it is right here, it's his most basic essential, and this is his bare minimum of experience. He doesn't need no object. He's ready to just walk out of the door and see what the day is having for them. It's very opportunistic type of energy. It's not strategic. It's not planning ahead. It's like flying by the seat of your pants, moment to moment type of person, right? Somebody who doesn't really think too much in advance what's going to happen, but he or she is doing it just for the sake of the action. And oftentimes, these people are extremely lucky. There is a saying, fools are lucky. Fools are lucky for the reason because they do not have the obstruction of their mind and all those mental templates that stop you from doing whatever it is that you want to do. So that a lack of resistance in the first place creates a momentum which allows you to proceed forward with your projects, with your ideas. You catch that momentum and you just get from point A to point Z just as fast, or maybe even faster than the person who is planning ahead every step. Also, Fool is holding the flower in the left hand. Flower represents emotions. flower represents the heart opening, the heart center opening. Every spiritual practitioner that happened to practice different meditations or different kind of actions in order to be tapped into the sublime bodies and intuition, every person knows that it's very essential to dedicate some time to your chakras, and the heart is that stepping stone where you cannot pass further if it's not open. You cannot just perceive the universe from the purely monetarily, transactional, and physical perspective. And you also should not only be in your sublime energies and be all like in fantasy, because we are living here in the real world, and the key thing is to be balanced on both sides, right? Balance both hemispheres of the brain, and the right and the left, and the logical and the creative. People with archetype Fool are they're very lovable by other people. They have a lot of friends. They have that easygoing, positive attitude around them that makes a lot of people want to be in their field, in their company. They usually look younger than they are biologically, and oftentimes they are the ones who surprise everybody around, because nobody really expects from them to have great achievements, yet they are the ones who do achieve great things because of all the qualities we mentioned above. One of the examples would be the main character of the movie Forrest Gump, right? He was running for the sake of running, and he became a champion. Whatever he was doing, he became best at it, and he topped everybody else who was doing the same thing, because he just did it for the sake of doing it without really counting on the outcome. It's a very unconditional type of love position right there, when you can fully dedicate yourself to something and blend in with that process fully. Like, one of the examples would be a very famous author of Transurfing of Reality, which is an ABC for any esoteric practitioner, right? Transurfing of Reality by Vadim Zeland. He gives a really fabulous example of when you're at your job and you don't know how else to make this time pass faster. You might as well just get fully involved in the process, like so-called rent yourself out. Once you rent yourself out, you no longer notice that the time is there of your job duties is so unbearable. It doesn't become unbearable, it becomes actually fun, because you're fully involved in the process. And when, guess what, everybody knows time flies fast when you're having fun. I'll see you on the next video. And the way I structured my archetypal psychology course, I started it with a certain, videos which are very, very important to get into that stuff in the first place. Yeah, there are certain rules and regulations everybody have to start practicing in order to become, let's say, a professional tarot card reader, or any other professional in the esoteric field, really. But when it comes to studying archetypes, I started it from the Fool, as it's the beginning, it's the 0-1, but we're gonna go to the Fool's journey from the last to the first. And the last one will be the World, the first one will be the Magician. Before anybody can become one, there is a set of archetypes that you have to go through, each and one by one, taking one step at a time. It happens because we're not here to determine what kind of archetype am I. What's the way to calculate it, right? Let's say, oh, what's my date of birth? My date of birth is, I don't know, for example, it's any number of the month, and then based on that number, you calculate your archetype. We're not here to determine what archetype we are initially. We're here to learn how to tap into any archetype upon our necessity and upon our task that we're facing, right? That's the real flex right there. That's what I'm trying to deliver to you guys. For everybody who's interested more in studying archetypes more precisely, I invite everybody to get enrolled in Archetypal Psychology course. All the information is down below this video, and I have special settings for this upcoming September. The summer is still on, we're still having fun, and I want to enjoy the summer vacation. But those who are looking forward to start learning a new skill and turn it into a career, this will be the most opportune offer that's going to be valid through the month of September. For those who get enrolled in September, there's going to be a very, very significant discount of 50% off. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.